Good morning and welcome to Morning Tea. I am Chanel Witten, your emotional blueprint practitioner, and I give you the opportunity to allow your emotions to make sense. In this space, we discuss all things to do with well-being, your health, food, and environment. So once again, welcome aboard and welcome to Morning Tea. I'll tell you one thing. I remember when I was younger, in the school holidays, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, always when you're not expecting it, when we've made plans with our friends, if I want to go out skating or, on the bikes with the boys, or we just want to go and play in the park. We wake up all excited. Could you imagine school holidays? Don't have to get up to go to school, raring to go, thinking, okay, do what we need to do, and then we can go out, bearing in mind, I'm talking when I was going back to as far as to about 4, could even be younger, 3. And just as we've made our plans, like, right, let's go, we're going to do what we need to do, scuffle out of bed. We hear that, but I've sought for honor this morning. From when we heard something of that phrase, we knew it weren't good. Especially as I was excited to go outside. In no time at all, can you imagine a cup comes up, a tray of cups come up, or we'd actually get called downstairs, either, depending on the mood of my mum. And she'd become like, yes, come, drink up. Nobody now got nowhere to there. What? This times we made our big plans. Can you imagine? We're guessing about which friend we're going to go and meet. You're not going nowhere. Today is called washout day. Today is called purge day. Today is called cleansing day. We were not happy. Because from when we heard that, we knew for at least 2 days, we weren't going nowhere. And even though the home that we lived in at the time had 2 bathrooms, a toilet upstairs and a toilet downstairs, it was still a struggle. Can you imagine they're bang, bang, banging on the door? You lot, hurry up, I need to go. One's upstairs and one's downstairs. Yes, well, welcome to my world, and I'm sure you've had it in your world too. You must be thinking, what am I babbling on about? I am talking about cerasee. Cerasee is a herb that we used to get when we was younger, a bush. It was very bitter, very, very bitter. We did not like it at all, Well, that is the bush herb we are going to talk about today, cerasee. Cerasee is actually a member of the cucumber family and the squash family. Believe it or not, I was actually quite surprised. And it's actually a tonic, general cure for all. The young leaves makes tea. The tea that I was telling you about, where we always were expected the unexpected, when we did not want it, well, we never wanted it, to have a purge. So I've already given away some of its elements. So cerasee can be used as a laxative to purge out your system. That lets you continuously go to the bathroom until it's worked out the whole of your system and there's nothing left there. It also cures bad blood, skin, fever, diabetes, cold, gripes, and belly problems. So you can see this very potent, very strong, earthy taste bush has an array of properties. It also can be used in a bath to soothe skin, eczema, pimples, and rashes, and it also can be mixed with other bushes as well that you put in the bath that they bathe with. I came across as well from, oh, where has it gone? The Herbal Plant book that I've been taking a lot of information from by Monica Warner. I found out that cerasee, the bush can actually, it used to be used to clean wooden furniture. That one blew me. I was like, oh, you've been giving me something to drink all this time that can clean furniture? No wonder it was a laxative. And then it went on to show that it produces the most beautiful flowers and a beautiful fruit that is actually really sweet once it's ripened. And also the larger fruits can also be used to be cooked and eaten as a green bitter vegetable. It's high in vitamins, minerals, what's this for? Amino acid, which is a building blocks to proteins. It actually also is used as an aromatic oil. The flowers and the fruits make some amazing smells and flavors. I wouldn't say quite flavors unless we're talking about the fruit, but the oils itself is actually used for therapeutic treatment, which has got some tea there. It's also known to be antibacterial, antiparasitic, and anti-abortifacient, which means that it can abort babies. Yeah. So this week, guys, I'm not gonna lie. This one here was meaty for me. It unpacked a lot. And I'll tell you why. When we're sitting here and we're doing content, we have to be thinking of things of thumbnails and titles, what we're going to post it up. So once I come across this, I was like, okay, what's my thumbnail going to be? And it came up with bitter strength. That's what I first thought. And I was thinking, okay, amazing. Because cerasee is very bitter. But it also has a lot of strength to it. Hence I came with bitter strength. And then I was like, okay, bitter strength, quite self-explanatory to me as I'm putting it together. And then I was like, okay, but what is the title gonna be? And I'll be honest with you, it's the title that got downloaded to me that just blew me away, absolutely blew me away. I got the revelation of hindsight. Again, it also comes from the fact that I now understood what greatness, what benefits, what use cerasee had on my health and my well-being. So with that in mind, I had to start breaking it down because I don't like using words out of context. Even though my son always tells me I always pronounce everything wrong and get it in the wrong way. Fair dues, that's in the house. But when I'm coming to you, I like to make sure that I'm on point as can be. Because I want to make sure that you guys can understand the way that not even necessarily the way that I understand it, but what I bring to you, you can take and you can import it and extract from it within your life. So, I went on to Revelation. As I said, the revelation of hindsight. So I went and I looked up Revelation. It says, a surprising and previously unknown fact that has been disclosed to others. That's the first point. And then the second one is the supernatural disclosure to human existence. But I didn't just stop there. I couldn't just stop there. So now I've gone into the origin of the word, which is late Latin, which is revelare. I hope I pronounced that right. Revelare, which means to lay bare. I was like, okay. Then I was like, okay, that's revelation. Let me see what hindsight has to say. And it says, understanding of a situation or event only after it has happened or developed. Now, guys, I cannot tell you, I was getting excited when I seen this. And I was like, okay, revelation and hindsight are both past events. And I said, okay, these are both looking back onto a situation, an event, a discussion. And as I'm there and I'm taking it in, I got another download. And it says, weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. I said, okay, why have I thought of this particular quote of a scripture? Now, I am not no scholar on scriptures. I'm not going to sit here and pretend for 1 second like I know the Bible from back to front. I don't. But I do know a good deal of them that I use to apply in my day-to-day life. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, why have I got this this download, Lord? So I go, where does it come from? I see it's from Psalms 30 and 5. And I was like, okay, I've gone again. Then it dawned on me, I said morning, because it's morning tea, so I'm thinking morning. When does morning start? 0000. 12 o'clock midnight. I says, okay. A lot of the time when we look at morning, for when the joy cometh, we think of daylight. We think that it has to be bright outside. And that is not always the case. Because as you can see, from 12 o'clock midnight, it is now officially morning. We have officially entered a new day. Just bear with me, guys. I'm giving you the breakdown because I need to give it to you like how it downloaded to me. So I said, okay. Now let me go to the etymology. Because I need to know where the word originated from. I don't just stop at what the word means. I need to go back to its original format and what its original context meant or means. So I've gone to the etymology of hindsight. And it says it was originated in the 1800s. And it is a reference to the back sight, as in the back sight of a firearm. I was like, okay, where are we going? Where are we going with this? What's this all about? How we've just gone from a revelation of a heresy from be talking about a bush to now a firearm. So now I have to dig even more because they look like two completely opposites of the spectrum. And then I go in and it says hind is the synonymous, which also means same as back. So hind and back is the same thing. I says, okay. So now I've gone into, okay, what is backside? Because I need to understand again. What is it that's unraveling in front of me in this? And then I've gone backside, the rear side of a firearm. But here how now it starts to really get interesting. It says the backside is the rear side of a firearm. It is a surveying tool. It is a measurement or a reading taken back towards a point of known elevation, used to calculate the height of the surveying instrument. And then I says, okay, let me go into this a bit more. Let me see if there's a simpler term that I could have, not just for myself, but for you guys also. And then it says, a measurement of a previously shot point used to set the angle to 0 when occupying a new position. For me, that was phenomenal. I don't know about you guys. Maybe you do, you don't. But let me explain to you why this got to me. Every single time that we occupy a new position in life, we have to go back to 0. Then Psalms 30:5 popped in my head again. First of all, it was morning. Morning is 0000. Then joy came into my mind. That I had to go and look again. And it says, joy, a feeling of great pleasure or happiness that comes from success, good fortune, or a sense of well-being. So every time from 12 o'clock, which is the new day, joy can come off. We don't have to wait 12, 14, 16, 20 hours. Well, not even 20 hours from 12 till 6, 7, depending on where you are to when it gets bright. That's a whole 6 hours. Imagine if we put that into our life frame. Because sometimes that 6 hours could be 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 years. That we wait to have joy in our life. So it's like, okay, that still wasn't good enough for me. I now had to go onto YouTube. I went onto the firing range, actually the National Shooting Sports Foundation on YouTube, because now I have to put a visual to what it is I've read. Because even though I'm talking about reading about backside, I still don't know what it is. And what the man says in it was amazing. It actually blew my mind. Because it's so true. And it doesn't just apply to firearms. It applies to us in our everyday lives. It says, whatever you're looking at can only have hard focus on one thing. One thing. It says in terms of shooting, I'm going to say in terms of life. It says the hard focus needs to be on the front sight. The front sight. As it is the most important thing to look at. It says it's extremely difficult within the same time to look and focus on one thing because our eyes are like a camera lens, which means we have peripheral vision. Guys, I was so gassed when I learned about peripheral about 20 years ago working in the hospital. Oh my, to me it was a big word then. Please don't laugh, don't judge me. Anyway, let me keep going. It says there needs to be a center point for our focus, front sight, so that we can have sight alignment. Yeah? Which is a correlation between the front sight and the rear sight, which is also known as the back sight. It says your weapon, the weapon is the distance between the front sight. Did I say that right? Yes, the weapon. The distance is between the front sight. It goes on to say, the longer the sight radius, the easier it is for you to spot it. So, what if we look on our mind as our weapon? And the distance that's needed between ourselves, our emotions, our overall well-being, which incorporates food, health, and environment, so that we could have a clearer picture, a more focused picture. And you got to remember, the weapon, our mind, this is our greatest tool that we have, is our mind. It says, the shorter it is the harder it is for us to see what it is we are focusing on, or what we are focusing on. I continued. I hope this is making sense to you, because you have to take time with me. I had to dissect this into comparts for myself to be able to share it with you guys. And what actually makes this even more intriguing to me as I was going through, it says the front sight has to be flat with the rear sight, with equal amount of light on both sides of the front sight to have a proper sight alignment. And when you do, your focus is on the front sight. That if there was a word in front of you, it would be readable. So, focus in front sight. Yeah? You have to be in a position within yourself and within life that you can see what's in front of you. You can read what's in front of you. And in being able to achieve this, it says the rare sight target blurry as a result. When applied, you have to have a sight picture relationship. The front sight is sharp and clear, and the rear sight blurry, in addition to the target. So that means even when you're pointing at your target, even when you're focused on your target, your path will not always be clear. But that we're gonna go into that in a little bit. I don't want to jump. I want to take the steps with you, because when we go back and summarize this, I hope that it all pulls together where you can understand that the information for a firearm is identical to life, to our vision and life, because it says the target will be blurry. The barrel, it says the target will be blurry, and it says the barrel will shoot in the wrong way, vertically, horizontally, if the alignment is not correct. Now, I don't know about you, but I just found that fascinating. And I'm going to break it down to you again. I think, do you know what? I'll be honest. I'm on a timing with this show, and I'm going to wrap it up in a bit. But I think there is so much that's compacted in this, and there's so much more that can be pulled out of this. I'm going to come back to this another day.